Perfect timing, because now we're about to really get into the analysis here. First thing we always do, we always start off on the daily time frame. So we have one or two things that we always look for first. We need to look for either an injection or a liquidity sweep, one of these two things. As we can see here, we have this injection enter into the market, right? We start with gray, we end with gray over here, all right? So in reality, this would be considered an injection. This would be the manipulation of the injection, which is causing price to move down. In other words, right, getting rid of this injection, turning on the fractals, we can see the exact same thing occurring in the market, right? Everyone knows I always use blue as my high time frame and or external, or really just my high time frame bias, right? Seeing that this was the last fractal to get swept, right, on the daily chart, we can understand that our bias for the remainder of the week is going to remain short, right? Any external sweep to go short, any internal continuation to go short is automatically going to have a higher probability compared to anything going against, you know, the higher time frame bias, right? Where are we looking to swing this high time frame bias? To the next daily fractal, right? Does it have to come down here? No, the market can do anything. People still forget the market's random, right? In some aspects, the market's random. There's a lot of factors, a lot of confluence out there that goes beyond technical analysis. People forget that there's news events going on. There's a whole war going on. There's so many things that can mess with price, right? So swinging price can be a very difficult thing, whereas intraday trading tends to be a little bit more respective towards technicals, right? All right, looking at the daily bias, let's go ahead and understand what is our high time frame bias. Short, right? That is the first thing we want to identify when we are analyzing price. The next thing we want to identify, are there any daily OBs with imbalance? There was, but it already got mitigated. So this is no longer needed. This is no longer an OB that has imbalance. There are no daily OBs with imbalance. Next thing we do after the daily time frame, we want to move into the 4 hour, right? Understanding that our high time frame bias is short here, we still want to respect that bias even on the 4 hour, right? But we do the exact same thing that we did on the daily, or we do the exact same thing on the 4 hour that we do on the daily, right? We see all the 4 hour fractals, right? So we need to find all of the external liquidity. The external liquidity includes 4 hour fractals, previous day highs, previous day lows, previous week highs, previous week lows. That is all the external information you need. Do not force or say that anything else is external. If you do, you're forcing a setup and it's not viable, right? So let's take a look here. Usually when I'm on the 4 hour chart, what I normally do is I have around a 5 to 10 day look back, right? How do I have a 5 day, 10 day look back in a matter of 2 seconds? Well, I go to my settings here. In case you don't already know, I turn on these session breaks over here, right? These session breaks allow me to see each individual day very quickly, right? So this would be 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 days, right? That's a 5 day look back, right? I don't really need to consider any more information. It doesn't look like price is going to come to play with any information that's more than the 5 day look back, right? So let's go ahead and mark from every single fractal. Right here is our first point of external liquidity, and we're going to go ahead and mark all of these in. Already right off the bat, what do we notice? We did not sweep any external liquidity today. So there was no super high probability trades today. That's perfectly fine. But I'm going to show you what I did see that was still considered a really good position. I was in it yesterday, unfortunately got the rest of it tapped PE in Asia, but my bias and everything around it was still correct. I'm going to show you what I mean here. This right here is a previous day low. Just because it doesn't have a fractal doesn't mean it's not external liquidity. This is still external liquidity. If we look here, here's that session break, right? This is that low of the day of this day. So this is still a previous day low at some point in time. And now we're restarting that cycle, right? Where we have, right, structural phase 1, structural phase 2, All right, we can even see this starting to form as structural phase 3. That last sweep might be very powerful. We might see some sort of powerful move coming from over here. All right, the rest of these are all in what? Structural phase 1 still, right? Okay. The next thing I do after finding all of the previous day highs, all the previous day lows, all the 4-hour external liquidity, we want to find what? Those OBs with imbalance. Not just any OB with imbalance. We need to find the OB that caused an inducement or that caused a break of structure, right? So we see here, there was a nice inducement that occurred right before it. Was there an OB that caused this break of structure with an imbalance? Yes, right? And this is why you guys saw me taking shorts yesterday on EU around this area here. And I was telling people, if you go back into my Instagram post that I literally posted yesterday, I said, this is probably going to swing down, right? I knew it was going to swing down. I'm going to explain everything here in a second as to why, right? Here's our 4-hour OB with imbalance, right? As you can see, this candle right here did not come and mitigate into here. It came all the way back down, induced this low, then eventually came all the way back up in this POI, right? And then markets sold off. Why was all this great confluence as to these sells right here? This was our high time frame daily bias. We knew it was short. All right, we then had this external sweep right here in which we could have started buying the market back up to this POI, right? We knew this POI was valid for sells. Am I just going to go and take an instant entry? Absolutely not. I'm going to go on the 1 minute, 10 minute, 13 minute, or 15 minute and look for some sort of confirmation. If we do not have any sort of confirmation, I'm not going to take the trade. There are traders out there that don't wait for confirmation and do very well with it. But that all has to do with their risk management plan, right? For my risk management plan, I'm not taking any trades in here unless I have some sort of confirmation. I'm going to put a blackout arrow on there to pretty much tell people that even though our external bias has shown to go long here, we still need to respect this OB over here that has imbalance and caused this break of structure for price to move lower. In other words, my external view and my high time frame view are considered to be short, meaning throughout this day, I should primarily be looking for short positions, right? I shouldn't really have to be looking for anything else but short positions. Can there be positions that go long? Sure, but we're not going to swing them, right? The only way we would be able to swing anything is per se, we came and induced these highs right here. That would align with this high time frame bias. So sure, we could go short from there. And or we have a break of structure here. This will probably be a short-term retracement back to go short to induce these daily lows. Anybody confused onto anything that I'm doing on the high time frame? This is all just high time frame analysis right now. We haven't even moved in to the crux of my entries or anything like that. All right.
Yes, Ben.
Yeah.
So here what we know is that high time frame is bearish because of the sweep of the day with the blue arrow, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But yesterday we swept the SP2, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So which one is our bias of the day? Is it bullish or bearish?
Bearish. Because of this. Right, because we came and mitigated and respected this OB with imbalance that caused this break of structure, but caused SP2 inducement.
Okay, right.
So let's bring a bar replay. While this was happening like so, while we were inducing SP2, we had opposing biases, right? We had a daily bias and an external view to go higher. This is valid, like I said, until we continue down. How do we know this is overall valid? Because of this, right? This is giving confluence to this OB as well, right? So as we can see, this is going to come back up, respect it, right? Now this, once it kind of taps in, shows that rejection goes away, right? Is no longer needed in our analysis, right? All we now need to understand is that this is short, this is short. Okay, we know our high time frame is short, right? Okay, let's hop When I'm done with the 4 hour, don't overcomplicate things. Don't go to the 2 hour. Don't go to the 3 hour. Don't start typing in 43 minutes. Just go to the 1 hour. Keep it simple, right? They all are showing the same thing, just fractally different.
Sorry, Ben, can I just ask one more question on the 4 hour?
Sure, let me go back to it real quick.
So when SP2 is induced, right, at what point do you, so let's say, that black candle continued to go down. At what point do you stop looking for entries on the lower time frame?
That has to do with the 1 hour and 15 minute. It's whenever we don't look for entries, right? The entries have to kind of arise on their own. We do not know to go short unless there's like 1 hour internal structure in here being swept for us to continue shorts down lower. And I'm going to show you what I mean.
All right, cool. Thanks.
So pretty much, yeah.
Ben, just a quick question. If there was no imbalance, like how you indicated here, the shaded area, you would still be long bias until that fractal.
Right, I would still, correct. If this did not have an imbalance, I would have not marked this POI out.
And you would be still long bias until the...
Right, I wouldn't necessarily hold my long bias. This would still be here. It would just be an opposing bias now, and your probabilities are just thrown off completely. That's all. Your probabilities are just a little bit more thrown off. And it might be a good time, if you're not comfortable with it, to just not trade, right? It's all, I'm telling you, it's all psychology, right? All we're doing is we're playing with what price is giving us. That's it. I'm just marking in what's in here. I'm not making anything up. It's just it's all there to tell me what's happening. Okay, let's hop into the 1 hour. What I do now on the 1 hour is I have around a 1 to 3 day look back. Let's look at our session breaks, day 1, day 2, day 3. It doesn't look like I need to bring anything over from day 3. We most definitely need to take a look at day 2. All right. Let's come here. Let's mark in all of our algo structure. If you do not know already, this right here, originally when price first opened, created this fractal, this was a high of the day. High of the days are orange and or 50% continuations, 50% reversals. How did we know this was being induced to reverse? It comes all the way back into this whole high time frame analysis. We have this telling us we're going short. We have this inducement of SP2 coming back into this 4 hour imbalance to tell us that we're going to be looking to go short. This tells me we are not going to be looking for continuations. I'm glad we didn't. All right. Let's keep breaking it down. We see that we've come and induced previous day lows here. We've come and induced SP2 right here. We know we can be looking to go somewhat long around this area here. Say we got a little position into there, great. We could have broken even on the rest of it. Take this is now what? The low of the day, right? Considering that that is now the low of the day, right? And we're still haven't tapped into this POI, but we know we need to tap into this POI to continue short, right? We could be looking for buys anywhere around there, right? This would be a valid area to be looking for buys back into this POI to go short again, right? Now, just play every single fractal here. This is internal structure, which I make gray. The only time we use gray fractals or gray inducements or internal intraday liquidity as a reversal is only during times of major news or super high volume in the market. It's the only time we're going to see a reversal from those areas. If it does happen, well, there's also, again, that 10% slight chance that it can happen. Because 90% of the time, these are going to be what? Continuations. Let's take a closer look at it and see what else the price is giving us. We understand that these give us continuation trades. Did we have any OB that left an imbalance, right, to continue this move? Yes, we did. All right, here we came and induced internal structure for continuations. here's that 1 hour OB, right, with an imbalance. That's why price is having a really nice reaction, as you can see right here. And there was a move in here, and I'm going to go into showing you as to what and why and how we could have traded it. Coming in over here, we have the same exact thing. Internal structure, stick to the rules, stick to the plan. Is there an OB with imbalance? Yes, right here. And I'm going to take those lows to this OB high, drag that over. Remember, we're not just going to take it because it comes into the POI. We need to look for confirmation. We're going to go over that, right? Here, we have our previous day highs. That would have been the highest probable move if we came and swept, but we didn't. Where's our last piece of algo structure? That's right here. And this is what? Previous day internal liquidity. How do we know how to trade the previous day internal liquidity? We know that it's 50% chance of continuations or reversals. How do we know whether to choose the continuations or the reversals? We know we're going to choose the continuations. Why? Very simple. This black arrow, this whole thing is telling us we're going short. So is our high time frame bias. So there's no reason to look for reversals when we come in and induce previous day internal liquidity. All right, would it make any sense? The only thing that would make sense is looking for continuations. All right, until we do what? Tap into this POI or this POI, because this right here is telling us what? Short, this is telling us short-term buys if we have confirmation in them. All right, now let's take a little bit more of a closer look again. Let's take a look at our current day algo structure. We had highs of the day here. All right, we also formed at one point lows of the day here and intraday structure here that is gray. Everyone see the picture kind of forming? All right, as to how the day moved. Now, we need to look for all those OBs with imbalance that caused a break of structure. They have to cause a break of structure, right? So let's backtrack here. We came and did what? We broke structure. This OB left an imbalance. All right, so this is a valid, not mode of entry, but POI to look at for confirmation entries to go short. Now, a lot of you are probably looking here and seeing this OB. I don't like it. It didn't cause any break of structure. It was part of the break of structure. It didn't cause it. So I'm not even going to consider it. Same with this one. It didn't cause any break of structure. So I'm not even going to consider it, right? Once we're done on the hourly chart and we have our whole hourly analysis, right? What I've just basically done for you all is I finished up the daily high time frame bias, the external 4-hour bias, and the 1-hour algo structure bias. There are numerous biases that we have to account for when we are looking at the market. And you can see the amount of analysis that happened on one pair to understand all the moves that are probable for today, right? There's a lot that goes into it. Anyone looking too simple is probably not putting in enough analysis or work into their analysis, right? The actual analysis that I've done, the reason why I still consider it simple, I can argue every little thing that I just did here is methodical, objective. There's nothing to say that I even put in the slightest bit of subjectivity in it. There was nothing subjective about anything that I just put in here, right? Let's come in. All these fractals were objectively made. That wasn't me guessing any high or low. The fractals told me it was a high or low. After I'm done on the 1 hour, we move our way into the 15-minute, and we can use those 15-minute fractals. Ignore Asia fractals for now. I don't really want to focus on them. They're too confusing to explain. I will confuse them, and I will explain them another time once you guys get consistent in London and New York. Asia has a bunch of different rules that can be subjective. I want to stray everyone away from anything that has to do with anything subjective. I want everything to be objective and methodical so people can replicate what I'm doing. Let's come into here. Let's look for the 15-minute fractals out of Asia, right? London starts right here. So let's move our way down. This is the first 15-minute fractal post Asia. All my 15-minute fractals are dotted lines. Already understand that if you are trading the 15-minute fractals, you are already at a disadvantage. So try not to trade them if you don't have to. Coming over here, we have another 15-minute fractal. This causes a break of structure, right? Where was the OB that caused the break of structure with imbalance? Right here. Now, because it wasn't a part of algo structure, I'm going to make this a separate color to understand that this is weaker. Right? Coming over here, people are like, why didn't you mark this? And this caused a break of structure. It did not cause the break of structure. Our first break was right here. This came after. This didn't cause the break of structure. So I'm not even going to mark this in. Right? Coming in over here, 15-minute sweep again. Do we have any OBs with imbalance that caused the break structure? Yes, we did right here. Right. And then we come into these 15-minute fractals that all break structure. Do we have OBs with imbalance? Yes, we had this one right here. Keep in mind, I don't like any 15-minute plays like that. I'm just showing you your possibilities and probabilities and what is going on in the chart. Now that we're done with the 15-minute, from here, all we need to do is go to the 1 minute, and we don't even need to go back out to any other time frame. All right. Let's go into the 1 minute, start all the way back to where we were before. We need to find that first inducement of algo structure before we can even start to look for trades. Patience. Can't emphasize it enough. Patience and psychology is the kicker. Coming over here was our first inducement of algo structure, right? This gray area right here. And I used the same entry criteria every time. AMD cycle, right? One thing I was just going over with one of my one-on-one students, we may not respect the AMD cycle. We may actually use it against us. As we know, this is used for what? Continuations. Our high time frame and 4-hour bias is short, right? If our high time frame and external bias, 4-hour bias is all short, we do not want to be looking for reversals at this inducement. We know we're supposed to be looking for continuations. We know we're supposed to be looking for continuations based off of the algo structure characteristics. We know we're supposed to be looking for continuations because of the high time frame bias sweep. We know we're supposed to be looking for continuations also because of the 4-hour. Everything is telling us to short it. So now we just need to find a way to enter it. It all goes down to finding that first fractal that makes that low and starts off with that manipulation AMD cycle. And here's that first sweep that we look for. All right. Knowing that we need to look for continuations. All right. I am not going to be looking for the break of this up here. Right. This cycle is only used for when we're looking for reversals, but we're not looking for reversals. We're looking for continuation. So how do we look for continuations? We go against the smart money trap. We take the trap, basically. What do I mean by that? Once we come and induce that 1 minute structure post-inducing algo structure like we see here, we need to take just the extreme. That would be this highest fractal right here, this whole supply area. Right? Now, can there be times where the decisional or the observational block can become the move Yes, it can, but it's not the highest probability move. There will be traders out there who will get those types of moves, and you'll see them happen. If you miss it, I'm sorry, you missed it. Don't go chasing it. All right. The only move I would have taken was, okay, once we suck this, take the extreme. Keep it methodical, keep it objective. Don't be like, all right, well, here's the decisional block. It could, play off the decisional block. Yes, it could play off the decisional block. Yes, it could have been a 1 to 100 or a 1 to fucking 500. It doesn't matter, right? Keep it methodical. All that matters is consistency. If you're consistent, you could be making 1% a day and be making a killing, right? Just try and keep everything as accurate as possible. Now you're going to see order flow start to kick in here. What did we do after inducing the 1 minute? We came and induced more algo structure, low of the days. Once we induce low of the days right here, what can we expect? We can still expect the short. Our high time frame bias has not changed. Our external bias has not changed. Our bias has just not changed. There's nothing to tell us to change our bias. I will say, because we did come and sweep some sort of external structure, right? In a way, we can look for that change of character, but I wouldn't, just understanding the high time frame bias and the external bias and seeing that we are literally coming out of this 4-hour OB here that's going to launch momentum. Same thing again, just take the extreme. Any of this is the extreme. Where's your supply? Right? I like to look at the fractals. This fractal high to this fractal low creates like an area of supply for the extreme. Right? And that's why we're seeing that continue down. Can you take this fractal low and continue the move down and just continue order flow? Sure, you could, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't take any of these unless you're in these. If you're in this position, that's all you need. You don't need to force this. You don't need to force this. Yes, they are probable. They're not highly probable. All right, understand your probabilities. Now, we come and do what? Induce more algo structure, but it's previous day internal liquidity, which has nearly, if not the same characteristics as this and this. We're still looking short, which is why we came right back up, mitigated all this order flow, and still kept going down. Here is an example where this observational block works. I'm not taking it. It's not the extreme. This is the extreme. We never came to tap the extreme. So we didn't get a trade. Simple as that, right? Yes, this did work. I know a lot of other things, a lot of other trading styles that work too, but they're not methodical. They're subjective. This is subjective to me. This is objective to me, right? Keep it simple. So coming out of London, we should have gotten these sells coming into the market. Now we're approaching our POI. That was what? Confirmed by this algo structure up here, right? We know this is for continuations. This was an OB with imbalance on the 1 hour. All right, now we need to be looking for what? Confirmation entries. Let's take a look here. Now we can start looking for that sweep, change of structure, or change of character, mitigation, and run, right? Sweep, change of character, mitigation, run. We can start looking for that now that we have a reason to, right? Coming into here, here's that sweep, change of structure. As we all know, we don't always have to come back and mitigate, any of this area to run. We can simply just change character and run. Once we hit a 1-to-1 on these types of positions, I would go break even. This position, BE, it was still a good trade. It doesn't matter. It followed the same methodical approach. Why didn't we drag this over is probably what a lot of people are asking. That's because it was there for too long. I kid you not. That is the reason why. If this is not an instant mitigation, right? Someone was asking me today, why aren't you taking those GU buys again? It came back to the origin and OB because it took too long. It's as simple as that. It took too long. This needs to be touch and run. It can't be, here's all this consolidation, we just tap. It's not going to do that. All this is consolidation for price to accumulate to go lower. We're not going to know to take the shorts, though. There's no reason. There's nothing telling me to take the shorts. Your main positions were all over here. Unfortunately, yeah, this was a BE position. But we got more opportunities coming, right? We come in, we tap into this 1 hour POI over here. This is pretty good, right? We have a pretty macro scale AMD cycle. We swept those lows of the day. We came and induced internal structure for continuations. So now we need what? Confirmation. That's why you guys saw me taking these buys here. A lot of you guys, oh, it broke even. It wasn't a good position. No, it was a good position. It just broke even. Nothing wrong with it. This is the first trade I sent out to you guys in New York. This was the first trade I took in New York. Here's that sweep. Change of character. Go back in the VIP chat. This is how I marked out my POIs. I found these internal fractals as one of my POIs. Too long, right? It took too long to mitigate. Not needed. This became my next mode of entry. These fractals tapped into these fractals, so it all became one general 1 minute refinement here. Drag that over. This was my first position that broke even. I'm going to show you how I broke even, why I moved my stops to break even, all from a methodical standpoint here. Can we refine anything in here? Yes, we can. Any OB on the 1 minute that leaves an imbalance and is the last to sweep is a possible refinement. This is an OB with imbalance, but it didn't sweep anything. This swept, this is an OB with imbalance. This would be the only refinement I would take within the refinement. All right, and you would have gotten that nice little touch right here. I didn't take this little refinement here. If you did, I'm pretty sure you would have gotten close to like a 1 to 7 or a little over. All right, and this was your first target and first area to look to go break even. I entered like so. I hit around a 1 to 1 to 8, went to break even. I didn't even take partials. It was just a straight up break even. Nothing wrong with it. It was a good position. I was just sticking to the rules. That's all I'm ever doing. I'm sticking to the same plan over and over and over and over and over again. That's it. How did I know to go break even here? I break even based off of either the 5-minute fractals or the 15-minute fractals. It's the only time you'll ever see me in the 5-minute chart. Let's come into the 5-minute. We can see when we were taking positions here, this fractal will like a rise. As soon as we come and tap anywhere near that induce or that break even area, we move this position to break even. I don't care about any other factor. As soon as it touches that, we go break even. So as we can see, this position that we would have taken here broke even. When does the cycle reset? When we break these lows now, the cycle resets back into that same AMD cycle. And then it resets, and then it resets. And then I was just going over this with a student. This was the slightest sweep known to man right down here. This tiny, tiny sweep, right? And then we come up here. There's your break of structure, your change of character. So now we take all of this as a mitigatable area. This fractal low to this fractal high is still considered that refinement. We bring that over depending, would you have SL'd here? Some of you might have. If you didn't have your stops loose enough, yes, you might have. If your spreads aren't good, yes, you might have SL'd. Or if you watch my previous videos, you'll always watch me say, keep your stops a little loose out of the POI, a little loose, not like this, just a little loose like that. 0.3, 0.5 pips, generally what I aim for on EU, and or 1 pip for GU. Loosen it up just a little bit. That would have been your probable entry right? That AMD cycle that we're talking about, we want to aim, let's go into the 5-minute, that 5-minute fractal, which was all the way up here. Now, as we can see, a 5-minute fractal formed before even reaching this. So what does that mean? That means once we actually come and sweep this, that's when we go break even, right? So as soon as that comes and taps right here, that's where we go break even. All right, and as you can see, this position is now starting to run. We know this is one of the better positions based off of what we analyzed from the day before, right? And we could be constantly swinging this as much as we want, but I would just wait. Okay, here we've swept that first fractal, TP1, TP3, however you want to do it. That's all dependent on you, right? That you have to see for yourself on how you kind of want to target things. The way I normally target my target system, I go on the 15-minute, that's TP1. That's TP2. This is TP3. We might max out at around a 1 to 10, right? So hopefully all you guys can understand all these entries here, right? Just based off of how I'm explaining literally every minute detail. Let's go over one scaling that I found. And then we'll pretty much be done with today. Remember, I talk about external versus internal fractals. This external fractal creates this external fractal. This fractal sweeps it, all is invalidated. Fractal, fractal, to fractal. This now creates a brand new fractal range. External, external. Look inside of it is internal, internal. This creates an entire interbank dealing range. We know what can happen in this interbank dealing range. Consolidation, break above, retest and run. We can consolidate on consolidation, break above, sweep the fractal and run, or we can sweep the fractal, mitigate and run. Or we can sweep this fractal, have a confirmation pattern, and then run. So there's a lot to think about with external and internal fractals. So if you're not comfortable with it, it isn't second nature to you yet, don't be trading them. You're going to lose way too much. All right. Anyways, in this scenario, what happened here, we formed the internal fractals. It came to tap in to this 1-minute POI, right? And this one was stupid, right? Your scalings, believe it or not, are going to be more profitable than your main positions, right? And there you go. You have a crazy ass refinement. This thing, if it runs all the way to TP3, I believe will be close. Oh God, it'll be close to like a 1 to 50, or what in this case, 1 to 40. Decent position. Obviously, no one's going to hold full volume 1 to 40. If you are trying to hold full volume 1 to 40, you got a crazy personality on you. That's all I can say. It's eye candy for sure. But like I said, notice how I just ignored all these yellow things. I don't want to really be trading 15-minute fractals. I'm just showing that you could have looked at it. All right. Did today's session and breakdown, clear up some doubts and help some people a little bit more informationally on, what to look out for and how to trade and things alike? Awesome. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I was wondering about the scalings from this morning. How are they different from the ones you show now when it went bullish?
These scalings?
Yeah, that's the same approach, or?
So these, they weren't really scalings. I'll tell you why they weren't really scalings. This was the inducement of the low of the day. So this right here was not a scaling. This was part of the algo structure. This came and induced, once again, post algo structure. All these two positions, like I said, are part of the algo structure. These are scalings, and like I said before, I wouldn't be taking them. Perhaps you could take this one because it still respected algo structure, right? We still induced some sort of medium inducement. It wasn't just a 1 minute sweep. We also had a previous day liquidity sweep to support it. Does that make sense? All right.
Ben,
Yeah.
so today you trade that one that you break down recently. It was taken because of the of course all the M1 refinements, but first of all because it mitigated H1 POI, right?
Where? On the lows here?
Yeah,
Yeah. So let's go.
because I didn't want to take that buy there because I thought that it was going to be an inducement to the previous day low. So then it was going to be a great move.
Just stick to the rules, right? Here's intraday structure that got induced. It created this OB with imbalance. We know that if we have confirmation in it, it's a valid trade. We know it's not a high probability trade because it's going against this and this. What would have been more high probability is if we swept the lows, then had confirmation and won. But this is still probable, right? We still had information to tell us that this was okay to take. Does that help?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Well, nobody else has any more questions. I'm going to go ahead and end the call here in a little bit. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood how EU moved today. I wanted to explain my one GU position that I got in, that I'm still in actually, right? This, I don't expect anyone to be doing yet. I haven't really explained that on what trap volume is or anything like that. Only a couple people know what trap volume is. But get the core concepts and basics down first, and we'll start moving into even more complex stuff. Trust me when I say I got way more refinements. Those positions that I send in that aren't limit orders, I do purposely because they aren't positions that I've taught you guys. Anything that I haven't necessarily showed or taught, I'm not going to just send in for you guys to take, because then if it loses, I don't want anybody complaining for the most part. If it's a good position and it loses, I don't. Then that's fine. I'm okay with that. Like an algo structure position or something like that. But anything that I haven't taught you guys or is somewhat subjective, I'm most likely not going to put in. Yeah, that's basically what I got for y'all today. All right, GU probably had the best position today, and that was in Asia, and that's simply because it was a high probability setup, had the sweep of the previous day highs, right? And I believe the one confirmation I saw a lot of people using was on the 10-minute, and it was just simply this 10-minute bullish or bearish engulfing candle confirmation that caused it to rip. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, if you have any more questions, feel free to send me. I'd much rather you guys send me charts than than sending massive text to me. It's really hard to understand what you're talking about on the charts through text. So if you do have a question, send me the chart and the question, and then I can have something to reference to and kind of help you out with. Other than that, yeah, I do want to say one more thing. I am going to be on vacation for the next 4 or 5 days, right? So for the next 4 or 5 days, I'm really not going to be near my phone. I'm going to have someone moderate the chat. I'm going to introduce you guys to him before I leave. But yeah, I'm not going to be at my desk or near charts for the next 4 or 5 days. So if you're wondering why I'm like mute to you guys or not responding to you guys, that is why. With all the work that I do, with Forex in general, the reason why we do it is to, go and enjoy life for a little bit. So I'm going to go do that for the next 4 or 5 days. And then, yeah, we'll resume back to everything else on Monday, Tuesday. So I'm just taking a little early weekend, I guess you could say, and then we'll be right back on schedule starting next week. May or may not look at charts tomorrow, depending on if I have Wi-Fi. The plan, if I want to buy it or not. But yeah, I'll let you guys know. Anybody have any questions or any concerns? All right, cool. Well, with that being said, like I said, this video was all recorded. I'm sorry for the people that literally just joined. But yeah, I am going to upload this into the Telegram channel. I'm also going to send this out individually to all the Discord members so that everyone can review this. Other than that, yeah, if you have any questions, just DM me, text me, okay?